Chapter 16 of Kidnap on the California Comet by M.G. Leonard and Sam Sedgman. Such professional production here, isn't there? The Candied Clue. Hal caught up with Hadley and Mason, who were busily reassuring their dad that they were safe. "We should get back on the train," Mason said. "Let's look in the bowls of sweets," Hal suggested, as they climbed aboard. "I want to know what Seymour Hart keeps in his briefcase," Hadley said. "I keep thinking about that box he handed over for money. What if one of Marianne's teeth was inside?" Mason tutted. If he were an evil dentist working for the kidnappers, he wouldn't be on this train, would he? He'd be wherever Marianne is. Tutted means he went. "Let's focus on that sweet wrapper," Hal said, heading towards his roomette. Mason paused at the coffee station and emptied the bowl of mixed candy into his pockets. Remember, in America, candy means sweets. He unwrapped a Jolly Rancher lollipop and put it in his mouth. "I want to test something," Hal said. Drop the wrapper on the floor outside my roomette." Mason let the wrapper fall to the floor as he followed Hadley and Hal into the roomette and perched on the arm of Hal's chair. "No blackcurrant licorice in the bowl," he said, emptying his pockets onto the seat. Do you remember they're testing the theory that only Marianne has those sweets? The Comet's horn blasted, echoing around the station. The doors hissed shut, and the train pulled out of Denver. "Someone's left you a note," Hadley said, passing Hal a folded piece of paper with his name on it. Opening it, Hal recognised Uncle Nat's neat, looping handwriting. "Hal, I'm in the sightseer lounge. This leg of the journey has spectacular views and is the reason I wanted to bring you on the California Comet. So bring your sketchbook. I'm saving you a seat. Uncle Nat." Hal pulled a face. "What is it?" Hadley asked. "Uncle Nat wants me to go to the sightseer lounge and look at the view." "You should," Mason said. "The Rockies are cool." "I know. I want to, but staring at mountains isn't going to help Marianne, is it? In 24 hours she'll lose another tooth. And me and Mason have to get off the train," Hadley added. "So we separate," Mason said. "Doesn't mean we stop investigating." "That's true," Hal perked up. "Uncle Nat might have found out something from his breakfast with Zola, like what she was doing outside the Silver Scout." "I'm going to work out a way to see inside Seymour Hart's briefcase," Hadley said. "Francine!" Hal waved as the carriage attendant shuffled past the door backwards with a dustpan and brush in her hands. Mason's lollipop wrapper was in the tray. "Well, hello." She straightened up and smiled. "You children having a good time?" They all nodded. "Hal's challenged me to eat all the complimentary candy in the dish." Complimentary means it's free. Mason held up a fistful of sweets. "Don't you go making yourself sick," she said, her eyes twinkling. "I won't," Mason grinned. "Say, have you got any of the blackcurrant licorice candy with the purple and black wrapper? You know, the ones with the fancy French name?" Francine looked blankly back at him and shook her head. "These," Hal said, pulling Marianne's sweet from his trouser pocket. "I'm sorry, sugar. I ain't seen candy like that before. Certainly not on Amtrak." "Francine," Hadley smiled sweetly, "I lost an earring last night in the corridor outside this roomette. You haven't found it, have you?" "No, dear, I haven't." "We saw you sweeping," Hadley continued, "and wondered if anyone cleans the corridor at night. Maybe they found it?" Francine shook her head. "It's just me that takes care of the sleeping cars on this train. I clean during the day from around 6 in the morning when it's light and the sound doesn't bother folks. I stop when dinner is served at 6. Hal jumped to his feet. "Thank you, Francine. You've been really, really helpful." "Glad to be of service," she replied, looking baffled by Hal's gratitude and returning to sweeping the corridor. Poor Francine. As far as she's aware, Hal is thanking her for doing her job, and so she's thinking that his you've been really, really helpful is a bit over the top, but what we know, and she doesn't, is that actually Hal and Hadley and Mason have been doing detective work, haven't they? They were quizzing her so they could find out about that sweet wrapper. I was right! Hal felt exhilarated. That means really pleased. Yeah, but what does it mean? Mason sucked hard on his lollipop. It means the sweet wrapper was dropped in this corridor between 6 o'clock last night and 6 o'clock this morning. And as Marianne is the only person on this train with these sweets, he held it up, she must have been here too. Unless, by some crazy coincidence, there's a French passenger on the train who likes cassis réglisse noir, Hadley pointed out, which is unlikely, Hal replied. Marianne was kidnapped at 7:30 p.m, Mason said. Yes, Hal felt a surge of excitement. And why haven't the police picked up any leads on where Marianne is? Because the kidnappers switched cars, Mason said. Or what if the kidnapper drove around the corner, abandoned the car and returned to the train after the police had searched it? Hal clenched his fist around the sweet, looking from Mason to Hadley. Marianne could be on this train. There was a moment of dumbstruck silence. That means they're too shocked to say a word. I don't want to burst your bubble, Hal said. Hal, Hadley said, biting her lip, but how would the kidnapper have sent that tooth to August Razor if they were on the train? Mason nodded. And if they pulled out her tooth here, it'd have been noisy. He winced. Someone would have heard something. Not if she's in the Silver Scout, Hal said. Hadley sat up straight. But you said it was empty. It was empty when the train left Omaha. We don't know if it's empty now. He looked from Hadley to Mason. Think about it. Where is the one place on this train that no one can get into? Mason stood up. You really think Marianne could be in the Silver Scout? It's possible. The kidnappers could have brought Marianne onto the train after the police had searched it and hidden her in a roomette. The sweet wrapper must have fallen from her pocket, or, he stopped, perhaps she dropped it on purpose. Like a message, Hadley said. Maybe. Hal's first thought when he'd found the sweet wrapper had been that Marianne had dropped it, hoping he would find it, even though he knew she didn't know which roomette was his. What if the kidnappers then took Marianne off the train in the middle of the night at a station down the line from Omaha, McCook, say, and carried her to the Silver Scout? They'd have to know the door code, Hadley pointed out. Marianne knows it, Mason said. Guys, this is crazy. Hadley looked alarmed. But it's possible, Hal said. And there's something else. When we were leaning over the footbridge in Denver, I thought I saw someone moving about in August Razor's bedroom. What if they're still there? The drama continues, doesn't it? Okay, that's all for now.